Welcome back to Boys in the Zone. I am your host, EJ Savage, and we have a few different things we're going to be talking about today. Micah being an absolute beast in training camp thus far, a 53-man roster prediction, and then the deal that happened yesterday, the Malik Hooker deal, what that means for the future and what it means for now. So if any of that sounds interesting, stay tuned. And if you liked the video by the end, please do consider leaving a like. It's completely free. And leave a comment, subscribe to my channel, and just help me grow on the road to 1,000 subscribers. So let's just jump into it right now, and let's just talk about Micah. So Micah, thus far in training camp, got the pads on now. He's basically just dynamite. I mean, he's exploding off the edge. You can see the maturity in his game. He has so many more pass rush moves now. Sets the edge well and then pulls back inside with a nice spin move on some of these plays. He has push and pull techniques, has an elite punch now. Just really, really honing his skills as a pass rusher. And I'm excited for that because, you're talking about the last year, you kind of thought, is he in that discussion for Defensive Player of the Year? Is he really good enough? This year, I think that without a doubt, he was going to be in that discussion, and he's my pick for the award. So, very excited to see what Micah can do. He's been giving fits to Tyron Smith, Chuma Adoga, basically any tackle that's playing out there. Um, and just right now with Dan Quinn and what he's mixing up in the defense, he's got a lot of disguised looks. He's still heavy on the stunts, and just really interesting to see what this defense can do and how good they can actually be. So there's been a lot of talks with if they can, kind of match that doomsday defense, if they can be as good as the Ravens 2000s defense. The Legion of Boom defense. So if they are on that level, and then you have this offense that has been looking very, very good in training camp right now, I think that it's going to be a recipe for getting there to that NFC Championship game, hopefully getting there to the Super Bowl and winning it. And I'm just excited for this season, honestly, man. Now breaking into that 53-man roster, let's pull this up really, really quick. So with the new rule change, it is if you do carry three quarterbacks and both of them get injured and you do not have one of them on the active day roster, they can actually get into the game, which is very important. So, gives you kind of an incentive to carry a third quarterback, and this is one of those question mark positions right now. Is do they carry three or do they carry two? Interesting, but right now, let's just say Dak Prescott, Cooper Rush, and Will Greer all make the 53-man roster. That's three spots up. I'm going to say Tony Pollard, Malik Davis, and Deuce Vaughn. Go ahead and make that for the running back group. CeeDee Lamb, Brandon Cooks, Michael Gallup, Jalen Tolbert, and Kavontae Turpin are all locks, in my opinion. It's really that sixth wide receiver spot. Do they go with Simi Fehoko? Do they go with Jalen Brooks, JMC? Dennis Houston. I mean, he's a guy that Dak has liked in the past. So I believe personally they are going to go with the draft pick Jalen Brooks. But Semi, he's kind of getting into that West Coast offense finally that he ran there in Stanford. I'm wondering if that helps him. Only time will tell. But I am going to go with six wide receivers making it, and my sixth and final one was Jalen Brooks. For the tight end group, Jake Ferguson, Peyton Hendershot, and Luke Schoonmaker are all locks in my opinion. Schoonmaker has been injured, hasn't really even been out there at training camp, so interesting to see what happens with him and his health for the season. But I do see Sean McKeon actually going to the practice squad, not actually making the team this year, as long as Luke Schoonmaker is healthy. I just see Schoonmaker as, they both came from Michigan. They both are those blocking tight ends. And with that being said, I think that they have the ability to leave McKeon off of the 53-man roster and just use Schoonmaker in that role. Hunter Lipke is the fullback. So this one is an interesting one. Are they going to keep Hunter Lipke? Are they not? That's a question position. So right now we are going to leave him off the list as we're going through this thing. Tyron Smith, Tyler Biotish, Zach Martin, and Terrence Steele are your starting offensive line. All of those are making the team. Then I'm going to go with Matt Waletzko, Asim Richards. Josh Ball is on the cusp for me. Alec Lindstrom, I think that he's a player that was on the practice squad. He could definitely push for the 53-man roster. Matt Thorniak, Earl Bostick Jr., he's an intriguing name as well. And then Chuma Adoga. Um, Personally, I think I'm going to go with those five starters that I said. I'm going to go with Matt Waletzko. Chuma Adoga, so that puts us up to 7. Asim Richards puts us up to 8. Let's go with Farniok, which would be 9, and then Alec Lindstrom. So I am going to leave Josh Ball off of the list. They did move him over to guard now, so very interesting to see if he does make the team. But right now we're going to go with that. And with that being said, that puts us at 25, 26 ish for the offense if you do consider Hunter Lipke making the team. So let's go down and look at this defense. So Demarcus Lawrence, Mozzie Smith, Oso Odigizua, and Micah Parsons are your starters on the defensive line. I think that all of those guys obviously make it. Sam Williams, Jonathan Hankins, Dorrance Armstrong, Gallimore is on the fence for me. I think that those other three make it. Junior Fehoku, I think, does make it. Spent a fourth round pick on him. Then you got Quentin Bohanna, Isaac Alicorn, Dante Fowler Jr., Chauncey Golston, and Darrell Johnson. So um, right now, the locks for me would be those four guys I mentioned as the starters. I would say Sam Williams, Jonathan Hankins, Dorrance Armstrong. So that puts us up to 7. Dante Fowler, 8. Junior Fehoku, 9. And then you're talking about really um, Quentin Bohanna, Chauncey Golston, Neville Gallimore is your next guys that could make it. I'm going to actually go with um, out of camp. It seems like Bohanna has had a better camp than Gallimore right now. And I do think that they're going to want to carry another bigger body defensive tackle. So I am going to go Bahana, and that means that Gallimore and Chauncey Golston are both probably going to be practice squad players and or just upright cut. So interesting, but I'm going to go with 10 defensive linemen right there for us. Going down to the linebackers. So I think that Leighton Vander Esch, Damone Clark, Jabril Cox, and DeMarvion Overshone are your 4 linebackers. They're only going to carry 4 linebackers, in my opinion, because you can move Micah Parsons back there. You can bring Jaron Curse up there or Donovan Wilson in those roles to help your linebacking core out. So we are only going to go with 4 linebackers for my 53-man roster prediction. Going into the cornerbacks, we've obviously got Gilmore, Trayvon Diggs, Bland, and Lewis as your locks right there. I do think that Eric Scott Jr. is going to make a push for making this team, and that's 5 right there. So it's really between Nashawn Wright and Kelvin Joseph. Right now, both of them haven't had as great of camps. I do think that Nashawn Wright is a better cornerback, but I think that special teams ability does play a lot in this. So CJ Goodwin could be thrown in there or Kelvin Joseph. I do think that ultimately the draft capital that they spent on Kelvin Joseph is going to be the reason why he makes the team and just because of his special teams ability. So 6 corners right there. Notable names that get left off that list is Nashawn Wright and CJ Goodwin. Moving on to the safeties, Jaron Curse, Donovan Wilson, Malik Hooker, all locks for me. I think that Israel Mukwamu is going to make that list as well. And then do they carry 5? Marquise Bell has been good in camp, and then Wanye Thomas has also been pretty good in camp. So interesting to see with what they do with those guys. But ultimately, I am probably going to go with 4 safeties. If they do hold that 5th and then they don't decide to go with the 3 quarterbacks or they leave the fullback off the list, they can afford to have a 5th safety. So very, very interesting. And then going down, right now, I think Aubrey has the higher kicking percentage at training camp, so I'll go with him as my kicker. Brian Anger, of course, for the punter, and Kavonte Turpin, which we already counted in the wide receivers earlier, and then the long snapper Trent. So that would round out my 53-man roster. I think that ultimately I'm going to keep Hunter Lipke for the fullback role / tight end role to make the 53-man roster, and I'm only going to go with the 4 safeties. So that's my predictions for the 53-man roster. And if you have any comments or you think somebody's going to make it over those guys that I mentioned, go ahead and leave that in the comment. Always going to be interested to hear what you guys think as well. Let's get this off the list, and we will talk about this man Hooker right here. So yeah, Hooker just got the new deal. Um, very, very fun as far as the outlook for this team because he is one of those rangier free safeties that can play single high on the cover 1s or in disguise cover 2, Tampa 2, cover 3 looks. He's incredibly vital for this team. I think that the Cowboys played cover two and cover three over 50% of the time last year on defense. So to have a player, a free safety like Hooker is incredibly important for this team. He's a vet. He has that vet savvy. He knows where to be. Um, Takes good angles. He's one of the better tacklers on this team. And overall, I really do love the deal. It was a pretty team friendly deal, and Malik Hooker he does have ball skills. He's another player on our secondary that does have those ball skills that we covet so much. So I think that this defense is going to be molded into that Legion of Boom kind of defense, but we have a better pass rush than Seattle had back then as well. So very, very interesting to see what this team can do. Excited to see the defense, the offense married together. My really only question mark position right now is kicker. I think that they're kind of overlooking that a little bit. I think that since Dan Bailey, we haven't really had that kicker that you feel great about as when they march out there. So interesting to see what happens if they bring somebody else in. I'm kind of praying for that. But anyways, if you liked the video, go ahead and leave that like I said earlier, and if you could share it. And yeah, without further ado. I just appreciate everybody for stepping in here watching the video.